AC fam, welcome back. Got an awesome guest for you. A lot of these people come from in my network. He came from out of my network. I was expecting to talk about one thing, and that's contracts, and we never got to it. Super fascinating guy. If you guys aren't interested, there's something wrong with you. This is worth a listen. Thanks for tuning in. Hey, John, welcome to the podcast. Nice to formally meet you. I appreciate you being here, dude. Thank you very much. We caught you in the middle of transit, so thanks for making the time, man.
Absolutely. I appreciate the opportunity to be on board here.
Yeah, Doc. So you came to me. I want to talk all things ASA. Like, I think we share a passion about how unfortunate it is us little specialty contractors fund jobs. So, and I've got some plans. We won't talk about them today, but I wanted to just get your perspective, so I don't run my suck talking about it on that. But before we do, just a quick intro for the audience. So you're John, you're part of is it American Subcontractor Association? ASA? I should know that.
Yes, ASA, Association of Subcontractors of Chicago.
Association of Subcontractors. What's the second A?
That's a great question, actually. I believe it's affiliates. I believe it's an affiliates.
And affiliate. Okay, there you go. Interesting. That shows you how active I am. I'm a shitty member, by the way.
You're golden, bud. You're golden.
I need to do better. But yeah, so tell me, so you do you own and manage, or you just manage Chicago Fire Protection?
So yeah, I am part owner. It's actually me and my brother-in-law, Joe Regan, that own the company.
Okay, cool. Well, so what I like to do so everybody's just to tell me, like, take us from birth to now. Who's John, and tell me about your construction career and how you wound up where you're at today, just so we get an idea of who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, again, I appreciate the opportunity. So long story short, right out of high school, I joined the United States Army, and I had the honor of serving in Iraq and Afghanistan. I, ended up marrying my high school sweetheart, and right before I left for Iraq, she ended up getting pregnant, which was such a blessing. And I had my first daughter about 7 months into country, fighting in the Sunni Triangle back in 2004, 2005, in Iraq at the time, which was kind of like everywhere from Tikrit up to Fob Warrior, which was in Kunduz, and that whole kind of area of operation. But so to make a long story short, I got home from Iraq by the blessing of God, and didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life after the military. And my wife's father and brother were both fire sprinkler fitters, local 281 union fire sprinkler fitters by trade. And so I caught wind of a program called Helmets to Hard Hats, which is just incredible, really, if you think about it, that here's a government program designed to help soldiers that come off of active duty and are looking to transition into the civilian world. And, a lot of times the skill set that you make in the military really doesn't translate to the civilian world sometimes. So I found out about the program, signed up for it, and I went down to local Union 281 Sprinkler Fitters Hall and spoke to the powers to be, and was able to get into the union through that program and into the apprenticeship, which is a 5-year apprenticeship. So, what an incredible blessing and vehicle that I was able to support my family after the military, a new family, for that matter, having a 7-8-month-old and newlywed, if you will, within the year. So a lot going on in a very small period of time, transitioning from being an overseas, fighting the Taliban and insurgency to, hey, you're married with a daughter now, and they're depending on you to provide for them, So for a 21-year-old kid, it was quite the challenge, if you will. But I got to working as a sprinkler fitter, got into the apprenticeship program, and the entire time, my brother-in-law, who got into the union back in 1998. So, this is like 2006 and 2007. And he got into the union in 1998 after he graduated high school. He's working for, one of the larger companies in the industry. I'm learning my apprenticeship and getting through, construction. Really enjoying it, though. Doing that until, we're working for 2 different companies and obviously in the same industry and union, but not even working with each other. fast forward to like 2010, I had stayed in the Army Reserves from getting out of Iraq and transitioning to the civilian world. I had stayed with contractually in the Army Reserves, active Army Reserves, and in 2010 I got called back into the military for active duty service to go to Afghanistan. So I ended up, at that time, now I got 3 children, 5, 3, and 1, and I ended up going to Afghanistan, working on a very special mission. Ended up getting recruited for the Special Operations Command, working for Task Force North out of northern Afghanistan, and again, by the blessing of God, made it home and continued my career as a sprinkler fitter. During that time, my brother-in-law, Joe Regan, again, part owner of the company, he went to Bermuda for 2.5, 3 years to work on a special project. And while he was out there, gained a lot of knowledge of project management, and he ended up getting promoted out there to, in a managerial position and running multiple trades in addition to the sprinkler fitting that he was doing for the fire suppression systems. So long story short, as I'm working, at a company after Afghanistan, and he gets back from Bermuda, I kid you not, Kev, we were sitting on my front porch having a beer, and he says to me, "You know what? I think you and I should go and start a company together." And to do a quick rewind, when I was doing my apprenticeship, really because my wife and I were so broke with the 3 little kids at the time, I went back to school and used my GI Bill to get my business degree. And I'm telling you, the only reason why I did that is because I was getting a stipend from the military to get my degree. And I really I looked at it as a part-time job because of how broke we were. At the time, an apprenticeship wasn't making that much money, and 3 little kids, and my wife was in nursing school. And, I joke around. I remember charging our groceries on a credit card at some point sometimes. So, I had my business degree, which was great, and some field experience. And, I said, you know what, Joe, let's make a run at it, And so in August of 2014, we officially opened the doors to Chicago Fire Protection. And as I stated before, my wife's father, my partner Joe Regan's dad, Mike Regan, was a sprinkler fitter for 35 something years. And so, sprinkler fitting was in my wife's family for a very long time. And so we started the company out of the first floor computer room of my in-laws' house. And it was funny. We had no idea what we were doing business wise. We had no idea what we were doing even selling work wise, but we both knew how to sprinkler, the sprinkler fitting, installation, testing, inspections, what have you. And I like to think we both had a pretty good work ethic. So we did that for probably 2 years or so, and then the company continued to grow. We started out, doing installing work and then bidding work at nighttime. We wore every hat in the business, whether that was, the office stuff, administrative stuff, selling, installing the work, and it gradually began to grow. And we started getting jobs where him and I couldn't handle it. It was too much work, and then obviously trying to continue selling work and get more work. And I remember that first 6 months to a year, every single day after we'd get done installing work downtown, I'd go pop into a McDonald's and I'd change my work clothes to a button down or a polo, and I'd walk into these general contractors' offices with the business card, and tell them this is why they need to do business with Chicago Fire Protection. And I remember a lot of times people being like, "I'm sorry, who are you guys? Or what are you trying to sell me?" And so a lot of just the grind, as I'm sure you can appreciate, the day-to-day grind and the uncertainty of whether or not we were going to make it. And, I'll even reference, I remember we got a job at the Board of Trade, and it was probably one of the largest jobs we got to date. and as a new business owner and learning the industry of how most times you're outputting the finances to do the job, and then you're waiting to get paid after the fact and collecting money, by far one of the most challenging aspects of our industry. That job truly brought us down to like the last penny, the last penny we had of making payroll and making the bills. And I remember calling the client and being like, hey, where are you at? I need to get this check in the bank. And when I look back at that, where I think we had 4 or 5 employees at that time, compared to now, and we are 98 employees strong, almost going to hit 100 here shortly. It makes me laugh, to just really look at the simplicity and the inexperience that we had, but the fact that we kept grinding and we kept working hard, and at the end of the day, our product, our installation was stellar. It was solid, and that's really been the driving force of our company. And as we continue to grow, we were able to recruit very good fitters, local union 281 union members that either that we worked with ourselves in the field in the past, or that we began to grow a reputation in our local that, like, hey, this is a good company. It's ran and managed and operated by 2 fitters like us that understand the inevitable challenges that we hit during construction in the field. And not trying to be disrespectful, but it's not another suit telling us what to do that's never done it, or can't imagine how to do it, or what we're up against on a daily basis. So the company just continued to grow organically, through hard work. That is true today, even, as we continue to grow and experience sustainable organic growth. It is 100% driven because of our unbelievable employees and just their dedication, their knowledge. They care. They care about what we do. They care about our customers. They understand the severity and the importance that our work, what we do in the field, and the ability of our systems to operate properly can be the difference of life and death for people that are in buildings and during a fire, or other issues like that. So, from a large scale, that's kind of where we're at today, from our humble beginnings. And I'm excited to say that I truly feel we're in our 11th or 12th year in business. I truly feel that we're just getting started, that excites me the most.
That's that's awesome. I've been telling everybody that we're actually in our 40th year, and I'm 3rd generation, but I've been telling everybody we're just getting started, because we kind of had to rebuild ourselves. So we're right at that same point. We got 130 people, and it's like finally fix some of the stupid. So yeah, that's super relatable. There's so much, man. We're not going to get done in an hour, just so you know. So you're going to have to come back. Your story, man, it speaks to me. So I went late to the Marine Corps, was a tank officer, but I didn't do anything cool or dangerous, right? I was just a part-time hero. So it's cool to hear your story. But so one of my passions that you don't know, and hopefully we become friends after this, because I just think you're a freaking cool guy. But the hard hats to helmets to hard hats, is that still going on? One of my biggest passions, like, I'm going to start the No College Club. Like, I want to help people go through what we went through without having to go through the pain of, like, worrying about your life. Like, I don't know if you agree with this. Like, it's so hard. It doesn't have to be so hard. I look, like, in our industry, there's so many small businesses that never make it. So I feel like you guys are one of the rares. And my passion is to go help a few more people get right, over that hump, the proverbial hump where you kind of have a business, not a job type thing. So, and particularly the people, like, I have a very big heart for those that don't want to go to college, don't care to go to college, and or are too smart to go to college. Like, giving them the ability to come and enjoy the trades it is a huge, huge passion project of mine. So your story, I love it. It speaks to me. But is helmets to hard hats, is that still something that can be invested in and still going on? That sounds like everything I've ever wanted, and I've never heard of it.
Yeah, 100%, man. So that program's still rocking and rolling. I think it's it may be called a little something different now, but it is still alive and well. And I know that for a fact. My nephew, Timothy Gadzik, who's actually Sergeant Gadzik now, he was one of those guys, as a little kid. he always wanted to join the military. I mean, I got pictures of him in my gear when he's 5 years old, 8 years old, 10 years old. It's pretty awesome. And so he graduated high school, had no interest in college, which I agree with you. Like there's between the military, the trades, or just other things that are out there. College is not the end all be all. In fact, I at this point in the cost of college, I would even say that you really got to look at the dollars and cents and see if it's going to be as beneficial as they preached to us as we were growing up.
Yeah, I don't. I like whenever somebody gives me a kid to mentor. I'm like, you could tell your mom I said this, but you might not want. I don't. I wouldn't send them to college.
100%.
So I mean, it depends on what you want to do. It's you're gonna hack off a bunch of debt. Like, and I don't know. I was curious what you'd say about your business degree because I have one too. Like, I got more in my first 6 months of OJT than I got in all four. College was a great experience, but I don't think I got a whole lot out. Like, my success is not a derivative of that, in my opinion. I don't know if you'd say differently, but the network was good.
Kevin, I would agree with you 100%. I think the networking was good. I honestly, the day I got my diploma, I threw it in the closet, and I don't think I've looked at it since. And I would say the military, being a staff sergeant in the military and having just an incredible crew underneath me, I think that provided the leadership and business sense, if you will, more than anything I could ever imagine, or any training or schooling or anything to that matter, to be honest.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Well, yeah, when I get this No College Club, I'm going to do that. I've got some ideas, but I want to give some people a roadmap. But this helmet's the hard hat. It's like, sign me up, bro. I want to be involved with this shit for sure. That's what it's about.
Yeah. And I'll get you all the information because, so my nephew, Timothy, he goes away to the military again, doesn't know what he wants to do. And he comes back and still doesn't know what he wants to do. And I said, hey, go grab your DD 4214 and go check into this program. And I kid you not, I think it was 3 weeks later, he's in the local 281 apprenticeship program. He's working for me as an apprentice. And, he's on a deployment right now down to the border in New Mexico, and he should be back in September after a year-long deployment. But he is rocking and rolling in his apprenticeship. He should be carding out in about a year and a half as a full journeyman. Our guys make $66 an hour, total package. Healthcare, everything else, about $185,000. And they're home by 2 p.m. in the afternoon. I mean, where else can you find that? Where else can you find it?
Yeah. And not to mention, man, the thing about, and this is where, I don't know, not to mention, you're building something, you're doing something, you know what I mean? It's the difference in tapping away at a computer. And I was actually talking to my dad, is when he got out of the field and in the office, it pissed him off. Cause at least every day you look and you're like, I built that, as a builder, there's something to that. I think there's something native and primal about building something with your hands. You created something. I don't know, man. Beyond just the money.
Kev, that's so spot on. I would say there's something wired in our heads where when you got cartoon sweat coming off you, and you're just beat, and at the end of the day you're dirty, you're beat, and then you look back and you're like, yeah, that's right. As tired as I am, look how beautiful that looks. I built that with my bare hands. It's an accomplishment. It's a big sense of accomplishment for sure.
So look, man, you could speak to so many people, but I think the real audience for me is the two people that are evaluating getting into the trades, and then the youngins, right? The laborers, the people that particularly those that are non-union, probably, that are making 15 to 20, 25 bucks an hour and just don't know how to make it for themselves. I think you have a lot of inspiration in your story. So what would your guidance say? There's 100 kids listening to you. They're I want to be like John when I get older. What would you tell them? Let's say they're a second hand on a fence crew, or they're just a general labor on a carpenter's crew. Those kids, those young adults that are want to become something. They want to be like John when they're older. What would you tell them?
Kev, I got to tell you, man, you're motivating me. Just even talking about it. I'm serious. I'm like, you and I should go bowling, legit. Let's do it.
Yeah.
But so, one thing that we've been super successful with is, we do all the testing and inspections for Chicago public schools, for all the life safety systems. And as you can imagine, 750 plus schools a year. We have a lot of interaction on the on the side, off the job, with the Chicago Public Schools in the Chicago Build program, where we go and we literally talk to the kids that are juniors and seniors. We talk to them about how college isn't for everybody, and the Chicago Building Trades provides a incredible platform to earn a great living, to have health care. I tell these kids all the time about changing their stars, and a little hard work, and you're learning something that can provide you more than you'd ever imagine, and so one thing that we like to do in my shop, our company, that we've done successfully over and over, and we continue to do it, is, we will recruit kids right out of college, right out of high school, that don't know what they want to do, and we provide them a position in our shop. And the end goal, and we actually have a wall in our shop that there's a sign above the pictures that says, shop technicians that became sprinkler fitters. And then underneath that, there's pictures of each, and I don't mean to say kid, but each young adult that worked at our shop, that interned at our shop, that we personally held their hand, brought them down to the union, introduced them to the decision makers, the business agents, the business managers, told them when the test was coming out, gave them the credentials and the study guides to study for the test. And then once they got through the process, told the union, we want these kids to come back and work for us. Right now, we have 4 apprentices that all worked in our shop for over 2 years, that we literally got into. Now, I'm not going to say got into the union, because they did the hard work, but we assisted in getting them into the union and then hired them on as apprentices. And it's such a phenomenal process, because not only are they better apprentices, right? They've been visiting job sites and talking with the foremans and the fitters. They've been going through material and picking, a 2.5 by 4 inch mechanical tee, and you name it, and understanding the industry, and they get such a head start. The feedback I get from the teachers down at the hall, like, it's night and day from the kids that come in that have never worked construction, don't know what they're talking about, and rightfully so. Then the guys that we're sending down, or that have worked for our shop for 2 to 3 years. And don't get me wrong, like, you're working in a shop, you're starting your day at 0500, you're getting out of there at best by 2-3 p.m. You're making minimum wage to a couple bucks over, and a lot of times you're getting yelled at. You got to lift a bunch of stuff that's heavy, and it's you're probably the first real job you've had, but the payoff and the end goal of what can be is far more beneficial than the suck that happens, during that time frame. And I try to tell the people that come through our shop like that all the time, don't get me wrong, this is not an easy job, and sure, go work at Starbucks, and I'm sure it'll be a little better, but you want to make $135,000 a year, and in your living room by 2 p.m. This is the road path, and I'll help you do it, but you got to work hard. They do it, and it's awesome.
That's awesome, man. Well, so if I was to distill it down, like, I think the big thing is there are good companies, there are good owners, but generally speaking, it's hard to find. So like, if I were listening to us and I was a kid, I'm like, okay, maybe I go work for Kevin. I definitely want to work for John. Let's just talk to a kid that's not in your local. Like, how do you find that, or how do you set yourself up for that? Like, because like, I think what you're doing is unique. I share in it, because I kind of said we're not going to have this problem. Like, we're going to take care of the people. Like, my passion is, like, literally the company exists to provide people employment, right? That's what we do, and we do it abundantly. And I get excited just the same way you get excited, because they can make good money here. But for those that don't get to bump into us, like, what, like, say some kid's listening in Kentucky, like, I mean, and he can't move. So like, what's your day-to-day advice for the youngins, the younger adults? Call them kids.
Yeah, so I would tell them that, our trade, which is local 281 sprinkler fitters, IBEW 134 electricians, because we do, fire alarm security and all that good stuff. Every shop out there typically needs shop help. And, whether that's a plumbing shop, whether that's an electrical shop, HVAC shop, I mean, the list goes on. They're all over the city. And, I would encourage a young adult to pick up the phone book based on what type of trade they think they would like to get into, and call and offer their services in the shop and try to get hired on in the shop, and then leverage those year or 2 years of experience and the relationship they create with the owners of those contracting shops to help them get in the union, because nobody has a better in with the unions than the signatory contractors in that regard. They're signatory for a reason. They know who the decision makers are. They know when the test comes out. They know when their apprentices go to school. And it's a great, untapped vehicle for young adults to really get themselves in a good position. And then, if you're not able to find a shop to work for, those unions will be happy to work with you direct. Hey, if I'm like, hey, I think I want to be a plumber. Well, I would pick up the phone and call, local 130 and talk to the business agent at the plumbing hall and say, I want to be a plumber. When's the next test? What can I do to get trained? What material can you give me to get trained? The trades are dying right now for the next generation to take over. We got more people retiring than we do getting into the hall. Here's a little bit of a fun fact. Local 281 sprinkler fitters gave the test or the opportunity to take the test a little over a year and a half ago. When I signed up for it, people literally camped out back in 2006. People camped outside the night before to take the test. Local 281 offered 500 applicants to take the test. They were barely able to get 300 something people to sign up. So the opportunity is there. You just got to insert yourself a little bit.
There you go. I love that you're speaking to that. That's part of this whole initiative, is to elevate the voice of the trades. Like, it's like such a shame. It's such a shame. I mean, when I was going to college, everybody was like, "You're going to go get involved with the defense company," and now I think we look smart, right? It's getting to be sexy again. I think in a little while, I think construction is going to be one of the last preserved industries, because they can't delete us. The AI could delete a lot of things. I don't know that they could augment us. We might have robots, John, but they're going to need a human on that job site for quite a long time, I think.
Kevin, I agree with you 100%, man. There's no robot hanging 6-inch Schedule 40 pipe. I promise you that.
There you go. So two things I want to get to. There's so much shit I want to get to. I had no idea. I didn't know you were a veteran. I figured we'd be talking about ASA and contracts and nonsense. This is everything to me, is reinvigorating the trades. So you said Chicago Building Trades. Is that an association that I'm really bad about associations. Is that a group? What is that? Chicago Building Trades.
Yeah. So the Chicago Building Trades is a, I don't know if they're an official organization, but they do encompass all of the trades. I know all the locals in Chicago are signed up or signed into the Chicago Building Trades agreement, if you will, or I'd have to do a little more research myself, but they definitely are an organization.
Are they going around? Because one of the things, you got me off my game because I was not prepared. But one of the things I'm working on, so I've been, it's all about giving it back for me, right? Like I've ascribed a certain level of success, and like, sure, could I go chase after a private plane and a yacht, and then the second yacht and a third and fourth home? And it's just disgusting to me. And so it's like, how do I take the margin I've created and give it back? And so what I was looking at is like, and I'm all about, like, for me, it's all about the kids, man. Like, and I think Newton's law falls short of my law that every small act of kindness has infinite and amazing potential, and like we should pursue it. But so like as I'm pursuing this, I'm like talking to Tebow. I've got ideas. Tebow Foundation is out, and then I've been working with Big Brother. Are you familiar with Big Brother?
I don't personally have any involvement in it, but I got a good friend. He was a Marine, Pat Duran, PD, as we call him. I know he's been super active in Big Brother and does a ton with them. I don't know if you know Patrick Duran from the South Side of Chicago. But he was a Marine as well.
I'll have to hit him up. But so, bro, they've got, shame on them a little bit, like, because I had a hard time getting a hold of them, right? So there's some some back end that we could help them with. But they got 500 kids they call them littles that are waiting for a mentor. And I'm not in Chicago. I bounce, so I'm half the time Wyoming, half the time Montana, and then another third. I know the math doesn't work back in Chicago. So, and they won't let me take a little. Like I could take 10, I don't have kids. I'm pretty I'm available, but like what I want to do here is kind of campaign for them to find some mentors. It's like twice a week, an hour, 2 hours a week to like mentor kids. So I might ask you to tap the network and see if we can't.
I'd be happy to, man.
That'd be cool. So that's a little something I got going. But what's your John, is it La Giglia?
La Giglia, yeah.
La Giglia, sorry.
I don't want my Sicilian father to smack me in the back of the head for saying it wrong.
Dude, I can't spell anything. So La Giglia?
La Giglia, yes, sir.
Feel free to smack me upside the head if I fuck that up 3 more times.
Nah, you're good, Kevin. You're good, brother.
So your legacy statement, man, have you spent any time with it? What mark are you leaving on this world when you go? What matters to you?
Yeah, that's such a great question, man. It really is. For me, it's all about leaving it better than it was left for me. And that encompasses so many different aspects of my life. Whether that be with helping kids out like we're talking about, teaching my own children. My beautiful wife and I have 5 kids now, from 20 years old down to 9 years old. And, what that legacy looks like for my kids and my friends and my neighborhood. I live on the south side of Chicago, and I just want to leave it all better. And anything that I can do to do that, like, that's my objective. That's my objectives. I'm with you, Kev. I grew up very, very, humble, blue collar. My mom and dad were very frugal. I'm not a flashy person. I don't give a shit about any of that. I really don't. And
yeah.
And so, like, this is what it's all about, man. And to be honest, sometimes I think the universe, puts me in touch with people like yourselves, because otherwise, what's the chances? You know what I mean?
For those of us that believe in God, the creator, some of us call him the universe, but he's got a way of making his divinity known, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. Yes, he does, man. I'm a believer myself, and I couldn't have said it any better.
Yeah, I'll have to. I've got a whole other podcast for spiritual and religious pondering. So it's a big part of my life. It's it's a huge part of my life. But I want to do a lightning round before I lose you, because I think you're actually and I don't mean to say actually, I'm surprised. I had no idea who I was talking today. So it's super cool. And I can't wait to see what blossoms from this first conversation. But I just want to take leadership's super important. So if I can do just a lightning round of questions that I ask all my leaders that I bring on here, if you don't mind. And then before I let you go.
Awesome. I'm down, man. I'm down.
Cool, brother. All right. So, and it's okay if these stump you. They're weird on purpose, but have you sat down? Do you have a definition? What is good leadership to you?
Yeah, that's another great question. So for me, leadership is somebody that encompasses all the values and traits and just overall being of not only somebody that wants to have you motivate somebody or have you perform to the best of your ability. It's like somebody that wants they want to bring the best version of you out. That's a leader to me.
There you go.
Is somebody that doesn't they don't get like you saw a lot in the military where some higher ups or some leaders would be threatened by your greatness or that you were able to come up and do things good. Like for me, that was my favorite part of being an NCO, was watching my soldiers, do great things, but sometimes exceed my ability. And I was like, wow, that's what it's all about for a leader to me. And so I would say somebody that wants to bring out the best version of you out.
Yeah, it's funny. And I don't know if the Army's done this yet, but I have no idea what my fit rep would say about me. I never gave a shit. But what I will tell you, all my NCOs, except for those of which I didn't care what they thought, if you know what I mean, like they'd follow me wherever I went. I know that, that was what mattered to me. That doesn't show up on a fit rep. I don't, but if there was an objective, we were going to take it. And anyway, that was most important to me. And I think I did that well. I hope I did that well. I have to have somebody else tell that story. It's a little egotistical, isn't it? Anyway, but we didn't do anything. I didn't ever have to be in any of the situations that you were in. And I didn't say this, but thanks for your service, man. Thanks for defending the country. You're you're a national treasure in my eyes, bro.
Well, likewise, man. I think anybody that wore the uniform is, deserves that respect. And I tell everybody, I appreciate you telling me that. When you have the opportunity to meet my wife, I need you to tell her that.
Dude, damn it! You took it right out of. I was thinking when you were giving your story, I was like, the real hero here is his wife that had to freaking have a kid. Yeah, she.
Oh, hands down, dude, hands down. She's the MVP, hands down. Hands down.
I'd love to sit with her someday because, we've got one of my gals that works for me. Her husband, who I served with, is actually coming back. And she's just such a stud. Dude, they got to keep the house. It's crazy what they got to do to enable us to go do what you did. It's, there's something native about it. So what's her name? Let's give her a shout out that she did.
Yeah, so Mary Ellen, Mel La Giglia. Yeah, Mary Ellen Mel. I call her Mel, but yeah, she's something else, man. She's a Wonder Woman without a doubt. I tell everybody, I had to wake up every morning and try to stay alive and keep my soldiers alive, and she had to get up every morning with 3 kids under 5 and do life. It's just incredible, absolutely incredible.
Mary Ellen, if you do listen to this, you're my hero. And I say that on behalf of all the women that have or have had men deployed. Those of us that went know what it takes to do what you do, and we appreciate you. So, Mary Ellen, you're my hero. And I mean that.
Thank you.
Yeah, bro. Thanks for being on. All right, I got to finish the lightning round. So when you think of we got JJ tie buckle. Do you guys do JJ tie buckle in the Army, or is that a Marine Corps thing for the leadership traits? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a Marine thing. It's gotta be.
Crayon eaters. What do you think of when you think of the key traits? When you're like, this is what a leader needs to embody? What comes to mind? What are the adjectives for you?
Yeah, I think that leading by example has always been my big thing. I never asked, my soldiers or my employees to do something that I wouldn't do, I couldn't do, or that I haven't done for that matter. So I think that's a huge part of it. I do see a lot of leadership that do as I say, not as I do, or that I can do, or that I have done. And I think that leaders also must have respect and appreciation for those that they're leading. I preach all the time that our company would not be where it's at, or my deployments overseas, I would not have made it home without the soldiers that were underneath me. And the same goes for my employees and that's all employees, labor force, administratively, sales, engineering, you name it. So I think there's got to be a true respect and appreciation for those that day in and day out grind it out for you, try to do the best job for you as their leader. And I think the sad part is when a leader doesn't see that, or they don't appreciate it, or they don't value it. And I think it's pretty obvious when that happens too, and so I think to me, that's a big deal. That's a big deal.
Yeah, man. Love it. What favorite part of the construction industry? What do you love about the trades most?
I truly love the camaraderie that you experience within the trades. I constantly look forward in my life after the military. I don't think I'll ever get it back like I did in the military. I think it's very hard to replicate, but I do think the camaraderie and for me, getting a job done together as a team is always such a great feeling, especially when there's challenges. And as a leader, I rarely want to know when there's a challenge or something happens wrong in our industry. There's always there's an inevitable challenges that are going to come up. I don't care what company you are, what you're doing. There's always going to be something that comes up. I tell my people all the time, I'm more interested in how together as a team we're going to solve the issue and get through the problem than I am of whose fault it is and why.
Yeah.
Now I don't get me wrong. Obviously, I have accountability within my ranks and accountability within the people that work for me, but I don't get hung up on, pointing the finger at somebody saying, you messed this up. I don't want to waste my energy in that. I want them to acknowledge it and then, hey, how can we do this better? And how can we fix it and get through it together? And that's like a big company culture thing with me. And when I see people point fingers at other people, like, I do have managers in different divisions of my company. When I see that, I try to really pull those leaders aside and say, that's not how we're going about business. That's not how we conduct business here.
Amen, man. That's awesome. If you could change one thing about the industry, what would you? If you could wave your magic wand, what would you do?
I'd love to see. I'd love to see more integrity. To be honest, and that's from every angle possible. It unfortunately, the industry's gotten to the point where if it's not written down, if there's not an email trail, if there's not a paper trail, it didn't happen. Even if I'm standing in an office and verbally something's approved, or verbally, hey, I said to do this. If I don't have it written down, Kevin, I can't tell you how many times it's been thrown back in my face, and I'm like, hey, was I not standing in the room when we discussed this? You know what I'm saying? So, like, for me, and again, I'm not saying this from like some pedestal either. Like, I think everybody as a whole is the days of a hard handshake. I mean, those days are dead.
We're bringing them back.
I wish,
John, I
wish it was back, brother. I wish it was
I'm
back.
fucking bringing it back, dude. I'm telling you, anybody that's fucked me, then I hope they're listening. I will make an example of them, and we're gonna bring it back, dude. I like do contracts and signatures. Like, what a fucking joke, man. What happened to your word? What happened to your word
Right.
means something, and it's so true. But I hear you. I use the good dude rule. Like, I've always assumed the good dude rule, and that has burned me before. But I think we can bring it back, man. I don't think anybody likes it the way it is. It's stupid. It's just stupid.
I agree.
Oh, John, this will be a good one for you, and I don't know that you're going to want to answer it. But what makes you unique?
Oh, wow. That is a good one. I'm gonna say, what makes me unique, Kev?
What is it?
Is that I'm sure everybody can critique themselves 10 times over, but I've been able to be successful because of the unconditional support and help from my wife and kids and family to allow me to do what I need to do and not interrupt my focus and drive of the company with all the million things that my wife could interrupt me with. She truly doesn't get enough credit for where we're at as a company and all the successes that we have. I tell her all the time, I could never be, we would not be where we're at today if it wasn't for you. And I put the boots on and I go to the office and I do this and that. It's all bullshit without her unconditional support and really it's a thankless job because nobody sees it. Nobody, you pull up Chicago Fire Protection. There's no Mel La Giglia on the website saying like, how many times I brought the kids to the sports games by myself. How many times I did the dishes. After I got home from nursing. So it's I can't even put it into words, man. That's what makes me unique is my incredible family, really.
I see a relationship summit by John and Mel someday. Just saying, because I don't. It's, there's something Hollywood about what you're talking about. I think it's awesome. Mel, you're my hero times two. I got to rip through there. We're gonna take it. Top books. Are you a reader? What's if people are gonna read what John's reading? Do you read or you just go out there and do?
So I will say I used to read a lot. And really in the military. I read quite a bit. I haven't read much lately, to be totally honest, outside of NFPA 13, NFPA 25, code compliance stuff. But I will say this, if there's any history buffs out there or there's any people that like to read about engagements, one of the best books I ever read, and this was prior to going to Afghanistan, was a book written by the Soviet generals. It's a 3-phase book, and it was called The Afghan-Soviet War, How a Superpower Fought and Lost. And I tell you what, the knowledge that I gained from that book prior to going to Afghanistan and the level of preparation that it gave me for myself and my troops and everything, unbelievable, Kev. Unbelievable read. Unbelievable.
Nice. I'm going to add it to my list. All right, you can pick one or you can answer all these. I'm going to rattle them off. I'll read them twice, and then I'm going to free you of me until I drag your ass back. Your favorite your favorite famous person, your least favorite famous person. A quick story about the toughest season of your life. If you were a notional god for a day with no, you're not resource confined, no restrictions, limitless power, what problem would you solve? And then what do you want your construction legacy to be?
Wow, that's a lot. So my favorite person,
Yep.
I'm gonna say if they have to be famous, right?
Well, we know it's Mel, so give us another one.
Yeah. I'm gonna say my mother.
Got it. Mother next in line.
And I got a backstory for that whenever you got time.
I'm gonna park it on the future. I got plenty to talk to. I want to hear your mom's story. Okay, what about your least favorite famous person? Who drives you nuts?
I'm gonna put this in a general thing. I can't stand some of our how do I put this respectfully?
Political leaders suck.
Yes, thank you, sir.
How did he know? How did he know that's what John was going to? Yeah, dude, the lack of leadership is it's rampant.
Oh.
All right, we don't have time for your toughest season of life, and I think you probably have a bunch that we could learn from. So give me, if you could fix any problem in the world, you were notionally God for the day, you just wave your wand and make it go away. What would you fix?
I would say, I think in our world, I think everybody needs to give more grace and put each other in each other's shoes for a day and just understand, despite all the rhetoric and all the bullshit, we're all not as far off as we think we are. That's what I would say.
Amen, dude. That's part of my campaign. That's part of my campaign speech. We're all a lot more similar than we are different. If we stop looking at the differences, we can see the damn similarities.
Love it.
John, thanks for coming, dude. We didn't get to talk about the one thing I wanted to talk to you about, so I may drag you back when this drops. We'll let you know, and I'm gonna come. I'm not in Chicago much, but I really want to come see your shop, and would love to have you. We're out in Batavia. Would love to meet your people and introduce you to mine. And I think we can go. We could really go make a splash in kids' lives. So I'm gonna be bothering you with some of my stuff. I hope that's okay.
Kevin, I'm 100% down, man. I love it, and I appreciate everything you're doing. I think it's incredible.
Yeah, wasn't expecting that. Like I said in the intro, I love his story, and probably veterans just enjoy talking to veterans. So I guess we're all jarheads at some level. But yeah, John's an inspiration. Those are the types of leaders we need more of. And I know there's more of those leaders out there. That's why we made this silly podcast anyways, to elevate that voice. I hope that we're speaking to young and aspiring construction professionals. If not, this hasn't reached its intended audience. So if you're listening, help me do that. If you liked it, like, comment, subscribe. If you didn't, fill out the survey. Either way, fill out the survey. And thank you to Jules and the production team at Pineapple for keeping us moving. Thanks to the audience for listening. And stay tuned for some more construction content. Thanks for playing. Go build better. See you next time.